What's up guys, it's Skill Up here. Welcome to the weekly vendor reset video. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Today is actually my birthday, so I'm having a very, very good day. I haven't been making many Division videos lately, not because I have quit the game, as many people keep tweeting at me. I have not quit the game. I'm just playing Mass Effect Andromeda all week, and I need to do that before the review embargo drops on Monday, at which point in time I'll be able to return to some Division, which I'm actually really looking forward to, because yes, I have actually been missing it. Guys, there's going to be timestamps in the description below, so make sure you check those out. You can jump back and forward between each of the items really quickly if you need to come back to the video. And with that, let's get into this week's weekly vendor reset. At the gear vendor in the base of operations, you're going to see a performance mod that's rolled for turret damage. That's 3.5% out of a max of 4%. At the Dark Zone gear vendor, there's another prototype performance mod. This one has rolled for pulse critical hit chance 2%, which is a max roll. At the Advanced Weaponry vendor, there's an MG5 this week. This is a belt-fed LMG variant. It's got 15% damage out of cover, which is an excellent roll. Self-preserved on it is probably not ideal, given you're not likely going to be stacking crit, but you could do it if you wanted to. Skilled has a very high electronics requirement, so it's likely you're going to be rolling that one away. And Competent in the third slot is what makes this fairly good, because that typically has a high electronics requirement as well. So being in that third slot means it's free. Pop an ability, get some bonus damage out of this one, not too shabby at all. At the Special Equipment vendor this week, we've got our exotic weapon rolls. The Cassidy has rolled Predatory, Sustained, and Boomstick. The Pecan has Accurate, Prepared, and Pecan, the Liberator, Focused, Competent, and Intense, Centurion, Expert, and Skilled, and Historian, Swift, Skilled, and History Repeats. I'm skipping over those really fast because they are all terrible combinations of talents, so I would definitely give the exotic weapons a hard pass this week. The SASG is very popular at the moment given how strong Stagger is in PvP. This one has rolled 348% Stagger, strong roll. Predatory is good from a sustained perspective, but it really doesn't have a lot of utility in PvP. You'd likely roll that one away on this weapon if you're using it for PvP. Unforgiving is one of the best PvP talents you can get, giving you a huge boost to your damage in that lower health segment. And finally, Accurate actually does work quite well on this, given that shotguns have very large reticles with plenty of reticle bloom over time, especially as you fire them fast, which is exactly what you do with the sausage. So my advice, get rid of Predatory on this, and if you really need a unforgiving sausage, then this one will do the trick. This Alpha Bridge chest has rolled a fairly okay roll. It's got very low stamina roll, unfortunately, but it does have enemy armor damage, health, and ammo capacity, a good combination of minor and major stats there. You might just want to re-roll this stamina to something else, or even just re-roll the stamina itself to get a better roll on it, and you'll be left with a fairly decent Alpha Bridge chest. This Reclaimer support pack has rolled 1259 electronics out of a max of 1272, so strong roll there. Critical hit damage isn't ideal, you'd roll that away to something else, and ammo capacity is generally what you'd want in that minor slot. There's an extended magazine here that's rolled 109 magazine size, which is sort of pretty good, but not fantastic. Reload speed is meh, and the rate of fire is generally what you'd want. This is not an exceptional extended mag, but it might be an upgrade for you, so do check it out. Can you believe that after weeks and weeks of no lightweight M4 blueprint, we get it 2 weeks in a row? Well, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. I think Massive are probably just messing with us at this point, but it's there if you missed it last week, the lightweight M4. There's also an ACR, which is another assault rifle, but it's just straight up inferior to the M4 in most regards, except for stability, so you'd almost always go for that M4. There's a Firearms backpack, electronics mask, Pro Red Dot sight, which has that critical hit damage as the base stat. The small grip red, which has critical hit damage as well, and then we start getting into the lower level stuff that you wouldn't be as interested in, M870, etc, etc. At the Cavern Safe House, there's a firearms mod here that's rolled 255 firearms, which is pretty good. We've got 2% exotic damage resilience. Now I'm only bringing this up because Seeker Mines right now are driving everyone a little bit nuts on Last Stand. I'm not going to offer an opinion on whether that's good or not, because I know it's really controversial. I will say though that putting some exotic damage resilience on can sometimes stop you from being like totally one-shot by those. It doesn't stop you all the time, because sometimes things can line up. and you just get like completely obliterated if like chain reaction procs, for example. But yeah, I mean, having some exotic damage resilience on your gear is probably a good idea at this point, and this is one way to stack it on with fairly minor trade-offs. So do check that out if you're interested in it. At Camp Hudson, we've got ourselves a electronics mod here. This one has rolled a base 241 out of a max of 267, which is on the lower side, but it does have 3,134 health, which is actually quite a strong roll. This is a really good combination at the moment, given that, yeah, putting electronics in that major stat slot on your mods is one of the most efficient things that you can do, given that we all need as much skill power as we can get these days, so quite good here. At the Ward Safe House, we've got a prototype performance mod that's rolled for First Aid Self-Heal 6%, which is actually a max roll. This is one of the best mods that you can be running if you're a solo player, as you know, we need all the healing that we can get. At the Southpaw Safe House, we have a prototype performance mod that is Ballistic Shield damage 4%, which is a max roll. This one increases your damage dealt with your weapon while you have your shield out. It does not increase your melee damage done with your shield, which is what many people seem to think. At the Crypt Safe House, two things here worth talking about. The first is a enhanced AUG to a 19.5% critical hit chances on the low side. It has Determine, which you would roll away more than likely because of the high electronics requirement. It's got Vicious, which is 10% crit, and Fierce, which is 5% crit. So already on this weapon alone, you've got like 35% crit. You could then just basically run with a pulse, and if your pulse is halfway decent, you're already going to be pretty close to the crit cap, 60%. So this is an example where you don't really need to put any more crit on your actual gear if you're going to be relied upon that Vicious talent to be able to get yourself at the crit cap, as well as I said, a pulse. So this is a weapon that gives you a lot of diversity options with regards to how you gear, because the talents are going to take you very, very close to that crit cap. The other one here is a Ti-Rant Suppressor. It's 7.5% critical hit chance, 5.5% headshot damage, and 4% critical hit damage. This one is good because it does fit on the smaller type weapons like your pistols and your SMGs and the like, and these are actually very strong rolls across those three stats as well. At the East 42nd Street DZ checkpoint, we have ourselves a very nice Nimble Holster. It's 1200 across the board on stats, which is good. Nimble has been flagged for the nerf bat by the developers in the recent state of the game. They didn't say they were going to do it, they were saying they were looking at it because it's actually a little bit bugged right now. It heals you for a hell of a lot more than 2% per 1 meter, and if you give it a go yourself, you will see just how strong it is. So pick that up if you haven't tried it out yet. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by the results. At the 5th Avenue DZ checkpoint, we've got a classic M60 here. It's rolled Brutal and Ferocious, fantastic for PvE, even though Ferocious requires some fairly high electronics. You may need to be running a balanced build in order to achieve that, and this accurate talent in the 3rd slot is not required at all, because the M60's reticle gets really small the longer you fire it. It becomes very manageable indeed. So you'd roll that 3rd slot away to something else, which is perfect because whatever you replace it with is going to be free. This is a very solid classic M60. There's also an operator backpack here that's rolled Specialized, which is a very nice sort of talent to be running. However, the rolls on the base stamina is very low, the health is nice, and bleed resistance is very handy in PvP. At the West 34th Street DZ checkpoint, there is a prototype performance mod, Ballistic Shield health 7% out of a max of 7.5%. This is a bit of a must if you're looking to run your shield in almost any build, especially if you're taking it into legendary PvE, because yeah, your shield will get pretty shredded pretty fast. At the West 53rd Street DZ checkpoint, two things worth talking about here. The first is a prototype firearms mod, 265 out of 267 firearms, excellent roll, and we've got 3,118 skill power out of a max of 3,335. This is sort of mid-tier, but it's basically the firearms roll on it is fantastic. Using a firearms plus skill power mod is pretty common these days, given that you know, having skill power in that major stat slot is really, really good. So this is a pretty top-notch mod. The other one here is this VX scope. Now this is good because it does fit on things like a Vector or even an MP5 ST, which is a really good weapon to be using if you're using the defense gear set. This one has rolled 18% headshot damage out of 18.5%, and 2.5 critical hit chance, which is on the low side because the max there is actually 3.5%. At the DZ3 safe house, the one that sells the weapons, the only thing that's worth talking about is the ACR-E. It's got responsive, accurate, and competent. Accurate you really don't need on this thing, especially if you're going to be using it in the 10-meter range that responsive requires. Roll that away for something like unforgiving. The ACR is definitely not a competitor to like an M4 or an LVOAC, but it is a lot more stable than it. So if you're maybe on console and you're struggling with that the stability of those weapons, this is a really good alternative for that. But yeah, don't set your expectations that high though, because as I said, the M4 and the LVOA are generally better. And guys, that's it. That's the weekly vendor reset for the week. I've actually checked every single Dark Zone, safe house, and checkpoint, by the way. You're probably wondering if I didn't, given how little I talked about them, but I did. There just wasn't really that much to talk about, so that's why I didn't really cover them. Guys, if you liked the video, do drop it a like, and of course subscribe if you're keen on Division coverage. I'll hopefully be getting back on the Division this week once I'm finished with Mass Effect. Very keen for that, and I'll also be doing a bit of Mass Effect multiplayer coverage as well. So if you're jumping on Mass Effect, do keep an eye out for that as well. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Have a fantastic week, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.